Hello and welcome to our spoilercast discussion for The Last of Us Episode 2, Infected. I forgot the title there. Directed by Neil Druckmann. How crazy is that? I know that guy. That's great. My name's Don Blight and joining me to discuss the episode, of course, it's Ashley Hoblet.
Hey John, excited to be here with all the clicking.
Yeah. You changing the channel or?
No.
Okay.
Just all the clicking.
Yeah.
All the clicking noises.
Yeah, clicking. Before we dive into what the main things are that happen in this episode, what are your overall thoughts on episode 2 this week?
Yeah, another really good episode. I mean, this one gives us a actual Joel and Ellie kind of together. Absolutely beautiful, like how they've recreated the destroyed world of The Last of Us is really on show here, with him going through different locations and like overgrown elements and that kind of stuff. Obviously you get the clickers and that kind of stuff in this episode. They look fantastic, like obviously real people, prosthetics and makeup and that kind of stuff. There is one like weird moment in it, but for the most part I think it was pretty fantastic.
Yeah, not a really, really good episode. I felt like the pacing was a little bit off for this one, though. I feel like sort of trying to hit some of the key video gamey moments. In particular, I feel like the hotel scene and stuff like that, which is cool. Shout outs. But I feel like as a TV show episode, and for people who don't like had never played the games or something, I feel like maybe the pacing would be just like something will feel a bit weird there. It's like, why are we doing this? Like, what's the thing? Like, I understand why we're doing it because everyone's like, I see people on Twitter being like, they did the thing and all this sort of stuff. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Like, I understand you appreciate it, but I did feel like that 10-15 minutes there before they decided to head into the museum, the pacing around there was a little bit just like we're trying to hit some key video game moments or like little Easter eggy sort of stuff. So the cool thing this episode does though when it starts, and I think the highlight of the episode was actually before we even get the opening titles, we saw the best part of the episode, and that's not to say anything bad about Pedro Pascal and the rest of the cast, but I love the cold open for this episode. We flash
seems
back
like
to,
it's going to be an ongoing thing. Yeah,
seems like
expanding
it's
the world
thing.
and history of The Last of Us. Yeah.
So they flash back to 2003 again. We go to Jakarta, who was mentioned on the radio last episode.
It's in Indonesia.
It's in Indonesia, as we got told by Sarah. That's true. So this woman we see interrupted by police. She's taken away. We find out she's a professor of mycology, which is studies fungi.
Seems relevant.
What a job. What a job. What do you do for a living? I study fungus. Sounds a lot cooler when you just say you're a professor of mycology. Yes. So she's basically brought to this place where she looks at this sample on a table and, quickly is like, yeah, it's a orthocordyceps. It's a cordyceps, whatever the
why'd you present it in this way?
Yeah, why'd you present it this way? And then they say it's because it was what you do when you take it off a body. And then she goes and looks over this human body, which has been, the military dude explains that, because they clearly see a bullet hole in the head. They killed it. This woman went crazy at a flower
factory.
Yeah, I was like, what's the wording? Flower factory. There's several other people there that they had to put down as well and all these things. But there's this really gross moment where, of course, she sort of grabs some tweezers and like looks in its mouth and pulls out the tendrils things, and they're clearly still alive even though the body's dead. And then you get the horrible sort of sinking. Oh, and what I think this woman just like gave it. I forgot to grab her name, whatever. But I think it was a terrific performance, especially in that scene at the end where she's just sitting on that couch and just explaining everything, and the guy's asking what they can do and saying, we need a cure, we need something, and she's just like, bomb everything, like bomb this city, bomb us. Just I'm gonna go home and be with my family now. Clearly being like, I'm gonna go like kill me, kill everyone I know. It's the only chance we got. I'm gonna go home and be with them. But yeah, fucking kill us all because we're fucked.
Yeah.
What do you think of
I didn't do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, very powerful, like, opening and, like, again, giving you information about the quadriceps and, like, just small hints to how this all unraveled, I guess. And how interesting how much it plays out of, especially us coming out of the last couple of years, like, and just so much of it rings true with the same kind of things of, like, her being in this massive quarantine suit and yeah, but obviously the extremism and, like, of her saying we need to bomb everything. It's like, we all know that obviously they didn't do that. We all know that.
Well, they did to an extent.
Impossible choice.
They did to an extent. I don't know, like, if they ever do it in Jakarta, because we don't know if they did or didn't for sure. But we know they definitely did bomb Boston, because they have that part later in the episode where they talk about the crater and everything.
But yeah, really, really good opening, and then obviously you get thrust back into the world of Ellie and Joel.
The other cool thing about this opening is a fan theory from the first episode is confirmed straight away in episode 2, which is that the reason that Joel and Ellie never got infected and a possible reason the infection spread so quickly around the world was that the flour going out of the factories was a reason that people were getting infected. Because there was this, I saw a lot of people were pointing out how in the first episode there's a lot of mention of stuff containing flour that Joel and Sarah
didn't eat.
Joel and Sarah didn't eat. Be it the pancakes, be it the cookies that neighbors are eating, all these other things. Like there's several moments throughout that episode where they have chances to, or just by happenstance, didn't get to cook things like the pancakes, which would have contained flours. And in the real world, and it's a fact apparently, so just fun fact, whatever, Tuesday, fun fact Tuesday, Jakarta does contain the world's biggest flour factory in the world. So, yeah, tying in some real world stuff to make the plausibility of the infection spreading and stuff like that. So, yeah, which is cool. Like, that's sort of, makes it scarier to know that thing could be a thing. But
it's like one thing contaminated and then we're all fucked.
Yep. Literally. That's...
Yeah, so, enjoy your bread. Enjoy your sandwich.
Yep.
Could be your last one.
Could be your last one, yeah. So then
Speaking of sandwiches.
Speaking about sandwiches, so we do then go back to the morning time following what happened at the events of the last episode. Ellie's waking up, sleeping in this little building. She wakes up to Joel and Tess just pointing guns straight at her, which is quite funny. But that then leads on to, obviously they're still very untrusting of her.
Very skeptical.
Because the bite and everything like that. I don't think they slept that night, or if they did, they took turns because they were worried that Ellie was going to turn overnight, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, to a degree you can understand. She says that she's had this bite for 2 weeks, but how the fuck do they know? So they give it another full night. She should have turned. If she was bitten any time prior to them meeting her, she should have turned by now, is the thing. But they have a bit of breakfast. Tess and Joel have terrible, I don't know what the fuck they're eating, just doesn't look great. Meanwhile, Ellie has a nicely packed chicken sandwich. And it does look a lot nicer, so. They eventually do agree, and then, they wander through the city. A lot of this episode is, of course, just, it's, as you were saying, you get these really beautiful shots of it's weird to say beautiful because it's decrepit, the remnants of a once major city, buildings falling aside because of bombs and whatever else, just cars on the highway backed up forever, similar to the Walking Dead shot from that first season where everyone's just sort of escaped, wine glasses in a restaurant where people have just left after dinner was starting, or that sort of thing. There's all these little storytelling moments which you get in the game as well, which is appreciative. But then they head on over to two options where they're trying to get to. They can either go the long way, which is supposed to be the safer way, or the short way, which is where they'll nearly die. So they try the long way, which is they go for this building, and when they get up the top, they realize that now it's just overrun with what looks like hundreds of runners infected. So we'll double back and we'll do the short way, but where it's supposed to be really dangerous. And that's when they head into the museum, and you get the similar sort of play out to how the museum plays out in the game with the clickers in here. How do you feel about how the first interaction with the clickers played out in the show?
Yeah, obviously they made them a very credible threat and super tense. Obviously, they don't explain anything about them, but there's obviously that small bit of hand movement and I guess kind of sign language that Joel does to Ellie to kind of explain everything that you kind of as an audience member need to know. They can't see, but they can hear. So just fucking be quiet.
Yeah, shut the fuck up.
And just kind of the build up to even before, like I can imagine as someone who doesn't know what was coming, it's super tense and why are they all freaking out about being quiet and that kind of stuff. I thought it was built very well to make them a serious threat.
Yeah. I thought it was really done good. The only thing that sort of annoyed me, and I kind of wish they'd carried forth this element from the game, which is that you just Joel finding shibs and making shibs is a escape thing, but they're also a rarity. So I kind of just wish, because it just having Joel push,
and it's the only way to kill them in the games, right?
Yeah. Well, you could shoot them. No, you could kill them by shooting them a lot.
But a bullet sponge.
It took a lot, and there was a bullet sponge, and it was sort of a waste of resources. So obviously, depending on what difficulty you're playing on, you're trying to just stay away from them. Don't even try and kill them. Just fucking sneak around them. If you got grabbed by one in the game, you were dead unless you had a shiv. So if you had a shiv on you, you could kill it that way, or you could sneak up behind it. But if you didn't have a shiv, you just die. So I'm sort of annoyed that. Well, no, I'm not annoyed. I won't go that far. But,
no, he just didn't have a shiv. Done.
Yeah. But just seeing Joel being able to tussle them off him twice or 3 times, whatever it was, I was like,
Yeah.
That was a lot of times where the other 2 people got bitten that time. I sort of feel like that took away from the threat a little bit in my mind. You shouldn't be able to escape 2-3 fucking times with these things. They're clickers. If you escape once, you're lucky SOB. Most people die. These things grab you once, you're basically dead, is how it's supposed to be. So, but yeah, it's really good. I'm going to wonder going into the future episodes how they continually are able to keep up the threat of them, because in the game, obviously, anytime you walk into a new area, and the game would do the thing where it's you'd hear their noise in the background. You'd hear off in the distance, you're like, fuck. And when you're playing it, especially for that first time where you don't know where they are or anything like that, other than you're like, fuck, I just, they were the worst sections of the game, because you're like, I don't want to deal with these things. These things are, you'd rather deal with runners and just shit that you can kill. So I'm wondering how they're going to portray that in the show where, so where they're up to now, where the episode ends, when they walk down into the subway area or whatever, in the game, there's some clickers down there. So I'm like, are we getting more clickers, or are they going to try and spread them out? Make sure they're not as common as maybe they were in the game. How they're going to tackle that to make sure they are as scary every time they show up. But after their whole interaction with the clickers, they all managed to survive. Ellie gets bit. I don't think at all that Ellie was bit in the game. I don't think that's a thing that they did, unless I'm completely forgetting it. But I like that, because it's another thing, because they do the moment with Tess later where she points to her wound and then she points to Ellie's. But I think in the game she just points to Ellie's one she already had, said this is 2 weeks old or whatever. This is 2 hours, sort of but having her get re-bit, I think works better for that. To sell why she's actually, to help sell Joel on her being immune, I think.
Yeah.
But so they escape. You can tell straight away that Tess is in a shitty mood. Obviously, if you've played the game or anything, you know why. Yeah. You know why. They head on down to the I can't remember what the building's called. Whatever the building is,
state
building or something. Yeah,
Capital.
where they're supposed to meet up with the Fireflies. Of course, they check the building. The truck outside's just shot up. There's blood everywhere. Something's gone wrong. Tess rushes Ellie inside because she's trying to get this over and done with ASAP. Because she knows she's on her last legs. They get inside. She's pissed off. Fireflies are all dead. Seems like one of them got bit and turned, and they all just start shooting each other. In the game, of course, the Fedra shows up here. I think it's Fedra, or is it?
Yeah,
just
somebody shows up.
Someone shows up. They sort of changed that here, which is fine. But then you have this other element that I wouldn't be surprised if this is something from the show that 100% makes it into The Last of Us Part 3, which is they introduced in this episode the idea that the cordyceps are able to communicate with one another miles, hundreds of miles away if you interact with certain parts of like living. Like Joel shows early in the episode, like these parts can die. Like he cracks one open and it's a dead part, so that's fine. But when he shoots someone in this building where there's freshly killed people and whatnot that had been turned, it interacts with basically a vine that sends a signal to all the runners that we'd witnessed early in the episode, and they all suddenly know exactly where to go to where Joel and everyone is. So they all begin coming. Tess has shown her wound. It's fucked up after only just being bitten a couple hours earlier. So obviously what plays out from here, I've seen a lot of, like, this is the part where people are a little bit iffy on. Like, I think Anatol's performance and Pedro Pascal's here is very good. I think Joel says nothing because of course he doesn't. That's the character. Joel
is an emotionless bastard.
He's an emotionless bastard. Yeah, that's it. But you can see it on his face.
There is a little bit.
There's something there, and I think that's the difference between people who, and like this is the difference between only recognizing good performances when it's loud and showy and whatever else, when it's just more subtle and the sort of stuff. Like I think this is a very good performance and interaction between Anatol and Pedro Pascal. I can clearly see on Pedro Pascal's face that Joel isn't, like, he's emotional, but he's refusing to let it like be a thing. Like he says his couple things and then he just grabs Ellie and fucking leaves. Like he doesn't say goodbye. He doesn't say I love you. He doesn't say like, and we know there's a relationship between them.
That's the interesting thing because obviously, I think Tess is obviously more in love with Joel than Joel reciprocates.
Well, Joel's the little spoon in a relationship. Literally. We see it in the episode prior.
Yeah.
That's it. So. Yeah. But then the moment that everyone,
I love of course the line from the show, the game, like save who can.
Yeah, save who can, and she says it, and I think it's a good delivery and performance. Like,
yeah,
it's save who you can. He looks. She says that. He grabs Ellie and leaves. Like that's it. Tess begins turning over all the. Well, she already turned over the barrels, but then she goes and tries to flick her lighter, which is from Uncharted 4. There's your Easter egg. Then fucking. This is the thing where people are getting like, I don't hate this moment. It's weird. I think it's supposed to be weird. I don't hate it. So then all the runners coming through. One stops, looks at her, makes her way over, and everyone's like saying it's a kiss. I don't think it's a kiss. It's a spreading of the disease. I read an interview with Neil Druckmann afterwards where he said, so the way he wanted it to be was usually the clickers or the runners, whenever you see them, they're these violent acts of they're biting you and all these sorts of things. But it's because people are fighting back. So he said, what happens if you're not fighting back? So because Tess is standing there and she's not trying to run away, she's not trying to fight back against the runner. All it does, it just, instead of like having to bite your ankle or some shit, the bite wherever it can while you're trying to run away, it just goes straight for the jugular, which is just fucking cordyceps straight down the throat, baby. That's, like, let's just go.
It's still weird.
Oh, it's still weird. I don't think it's not supposed to be weird.
And,
it's fucking meant to be gross. Like, if you're watching that and you're like, that's not gross, what the fuck's wrong with you?
But no, even if she didn't want to fight back, there's no way you would let that mouth come towards your mouth. You know what I mean? Let it rip your throat out.
I think she's just. What's the point? Like she's focused on the lighter. She's not focusing on anything else. She just wants a lighter. That's it.
I think you can focus on 2 things at once.
I don't think it matters. The weirdest thing for this is I think it's supposed to be gross, and it works. It's gross, but it works. But the thing I found really weird is I've seen lots of people go, "Why'd they have to sexualize it?" To which again, that's a youth.
I don't think that's the show. I think that's a.
Yeah. Now we bring this up a lot of times for different movies and just generally, mostly men. where these things happen, it's like, why is it sexualized? It's like, well, it's not. Why are you saying it's sexualized? Because if you're watching a fucking cordyceps infected human stick their little tendrils down someone's throat and you're going, wow, that's sexualized.
Hot.
That's hot. That's a you thing. That's because I'm telling you right now, there ain't nothing sexy about what's happening on screen. There's not. So, and also at worst, even if you want to say it's a kiss, which is not, it's just cordyceps straight down the throat. Like I understand the way everyone's like, it's a kiss. I'm like, it's not. It's like there's no lips touching, there's no tongue. It's just cordyceps straight in the throat. But even then, if you want to say it's a kiss isn't sexual by nature. So that's a whole different. Yeah. Yeah, and I mean the episode ends. Tess manages to get the lighter off, and she blows them all the fuck up and herself, and yeah, we just got Joel and Ellie by themselves.
Yep.
Yeah. Makes you wonder how people watching this. It does, like if you're watching this and you've never.
You're watching like what? They killed off Anatov?
Yeah, like well, it's just a character died every episode so far. So, and I don't want to go into spoilers, but I'm pretty sure someone's going to die next episode as well. So,
well, the way it's been built up.
Yeah. So
I mean that's well, yeah. I don't think we're going.
No, I'm trying not to do spoilers just in case, but like I just think someone's going to die next episode.
Yeah,
which is crazy to think because then people watching this who have never played the games or anything like that, you're like, what the fuck? This show literally. Kills.
I think it's pretty clear where they're going. They're going to go see Bill and Frank, the people who were doing the radio frequencies and that kind of stuff. So
yeah. Any other final thoughts of this episode?
No. Yeah, just very beautifully well done, you know. Again, they kind of hint at the Riley thing, but don't outright say it, you know.
She refuses to say it. She says she was alone. So
says she was alone, Tess asks if she's going to be worried about a pet mom or a dad or a boyfriend coming to find her, and she's like, definitely not.
She's like, A, I'm an orphan, and no.
Yeah, absolutely not, yeah. We see a little giraffe toy. That was a nice little Easter egg.
Yeah, I only had this epiphany this episode where I've been so focused on other things in the game that I was like, holy shit, they're just going to do the giraffe scene, right? Like it's the most when the game came out in 2013.
They just did this ridiculous hotel scene.
Yeah, with the frog and the hair.
Did you see the frog on the piano? It was meant to be a bird on the piano, but the bird wouldn't do its job. So they just CGI'd.
So they fired it.
Yeah,
fire that bird. Put a CGI frog in. No, yeah, I definitely think we're going to get the draft scene because it's one of the most, if not the most memorable moment from the game that people had back when it released. So it's still one of the most memorable shots and moments.
Yeah.
But fuck, they better sell it right. Like it just makes me go, okay, it can't be CGI. Like if it looks fake, it doesn't work. Can you get a real giraffe? Is that okay?
I don't know if they can train real giraffes to do that. So maybe like a really expensive prosthetic or like animatronic.
Well, we'll see. All right. That will do it for this week's spoiler discussion of The Last of Us. Of course, join us next week where we will be discussing episode 3. And also, Platinum Explosion is officially back. This will be out Tuesday, whatever time I get it up after we're done recording. But Platinum Explosion is officially back for your regularly scheduled episodes as of tomorrow. So make sure you listen to that as well. Check out explosionhour.com. And until then, remember, clickety click. Actually, no. Stop clicking. Hold on.
Please stop clicking. Unless you're clicking on explosionhour.com.
Fuck now.